The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town, a skeletal silhouette against the bruised twilight sky. They called it the Blackwood Manor. Locals whispered stories about it, tales of shadows that danced in empty windows and a woman's weeping that drifted on the wind. Of course, I didn't believe any of it. To me, it was just an abandoned relic, a perfect subject for my urban exploration channel. My subscribers loved this stuff. The creepier, the better. I packed my gear, cameras, flashlights, a crowbar just in case, and drove up the winding, neglected road as darkness fell. The air grew colder the higher I climbed, the scent of damp earth and decay filling my car. Parking near a collapsed section of the iron fence, I slung my backpack over my shoulder and made my way onto the property. The house loomed over me, larger and more menacing than it appeared from the town below. Its windows were like vacant eyes, staring out into the night. The front door was massive, made of dark, splintered wood. It was locked tight. I worked the crowbar into the frame, and with a groan of protesting timber, the door shuddered open just enough for me to slip through. Inside, the air was thick and stagnant, heavy with the dust of forgotten years. My flashlight beam cut through the oppressive darkness, illuminating a grand foyer, a sweeping staircase, its banister coated in a thick layer of grime, curved up into the gloom. Portraits with faded, judging eyes lined the walls. I started my camera, speaking in a hushed, excited whisper. "All right, guys, we're in. This is Blackwood Manor. The stories say this place is haunted, but we're about to find out the truth." I explored the ground floor first. A cavernous ballroom with a shattered chandelier, a library where books had rotted into pulp on the shelves, a dining room with a long table still set for a dinner party that never ended. Cobwebs draped every surface like funeral shrouds. With every step, the floorboards cried out, their sound echoing unnaturally in the vast, silent space. It was the perfect atmosphere. My viewers would eat this up. Then, I heard it. A faint, melodic sound. It was coming from upstairs. It sounded like a music box. My heart hammered against my ribs, a thrill mixing with a primal fear. This was it. This was the kind of thing that made a video go viral. "Did you guys hear that?" I whispered to my camera, my voice trembling slightly. "It sounds like music." Taking a deep breath, I started up the grand staircase. The wooden steps groaned under my weight, each one a complaint against my intrusion. The music box melody grew louder, clearer, a simple, tinkling tune that was both beautiful and deeply unsettling. It led me down a long hallway on the second floor. The wallpaper was peeling, revealing dark, mold-like stains beneath. Doors stood ajar on either side, dark mouths promising unknown horrors. The music was coming from the last door on the left. It was slightly open. I pushed it gently. The hinges screamed in protest. The room inside was a child's nursery. In the center of the room, bathed in the pale moonlight filtering through a grimy window, was a rocking horse gently swaying back and forth. On a small table next to it, an antique music box was open, its tiny metal cylinder spinning, plucking out the haunting tune. I froze. The rocking horse was moving on its own. There was no draft, no vibration from my footsteps. It was just rocking. Slowly, methodically. Back and forth. Back and forth. I scanned the room with my flashlight. Faded alphabet blocks were scattered on the floor. A small, empty crib stood in the corner. The air in here was colder than anywhere else in the house. A biting, unnatural chill that seeped into my bones. Then the music box stopped. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the rhythmic creak of the rocking horse. I took a hesitant step into the room, my camera fixed on the horse. This is insane," I stammered. As I got closer, I noticed something carved into the wooden saddle of the horse. Letters. I leaned in, my light tracing the crude engravings. It was a name. Lian. The moment I whispered the name aloud, the rocking stopped. Abruptly. The horse stood perfectly still. The silence in the room became heavy, suffocating. I felt a pressure building in my ears, a feeling of being watched not just by one pair of eyes, but by 100. A whisper as soft as a spider's touch brushed against my ear. Get out. It wasn't a voice in my head. It was real. A child's voice, cold and clear. I spun around, my flashlight beam wildly cutting through the darkness. Nothing. The room was empty, but I wasn't alone. I could feel it. A presence, ancient and malevolent, filled the space around me. My bravado evaporated, replaced by pure, unadulterated terror. I backed away slowly, never taking my eyes off the empty space where the whisper had come from. My foot hit something. I glanced down. One of the alphabet blocks, but it wasn't on the floor anymore. It was standing on its end. The letter L. I looked around. More blocks were standing up. E. A. V. E. Leave. That's when the weeping started. It wasn't the distant sound from the legends, it was right behind me. A woman's sob, full of agony and despair. I didn't dare turn around. I bolted. I ran from the nursery, my feet pounding down the hallway. The weeping followed me, echoing from the walls, seeming to come from every direction at once. Doors slammed shut down the corridor one after another, a percussive like cannon fire chasing me. I scrambled down the grand staircase, nearly falling, my camera bouncing wildly. The portraits on the wall seemed to change, their faded eyes now wide with terror, their mouths open in silent screams. The front door, which I had left wedged open, was now shut. Locked. The crowbar was gone. Panic set in. I was trapped. The woman's weeping grew louder, closer. It was a sound of pure madness and grief. I rattled the doorknob, pulling and pushing with all my might, but it wouldn't budge. "Let me out," I screamed, my voice cracking. A new sound joined the weeping. A dragging noise from the top of the stairs. I slowly turned, aiming my trembling flashlight beam upwards. A figure was descending. A woman in a tattered white Victorian dress. Her long, dark hair obscured her face, hanging like a veil. She wasn't walking. She was floating, her feet inches above the steps, dragging something behind her. It was the rocking horse. As she drew closer, I could see through the strands of her hair. Her face was a canvas of tragedy. Her eyes were hollow sockets, dark pits of endless sorrow, from which black tears streamed down her pale, gaunt cheeks. Her mouth was a rictus of pain, forever open in a silent wail that was somehow louder than the audible weeping that filled the house. She reached the bottom of the stairs and floated towards me, her spectral form gliding over the dusty floor. The cold intensified, a wave of graveyard chill washing over me. My breath hitched in my chest. I was paralyzed, pinned against the door by a force I couldn't see. She stopped just a few feet away. She raised a pale, translucent hand and pointed a long, skeletal finger at me. And then, for the first time, she spoke. Her voice was not the weeping of a grieving mother, but a guttural, layered sound, a chorus of tormented souls speaking as one. "You woke my baby," it rasped, the words scraping the air. "Now you will help her sleep." From behind the woman, a small, shadowy figure emerged. The little girl, Lillian. Her form was indistinct, a shimmer in the dark, but her eyes glowed with a faint, malevolent red light. She held out her tiny hands towards me. I finally found my voice and my strength. I screamed, a raw, primal sound of pure terror. I turned and threw my entire body against one of the tall, narrow windows beside the front door. The old glass shattered with a deafening crash. I didn't care about the cuts. I scrambled through the broken frame, falling onto the damp, overgrown lawn outside. I didn't stop to look back. I ran. I ran through the dead garden, over the collapsed fence, and didn't stop until I was in my car, fumbling with the keys, my hands shaking so violently I could barely fit them in the ignition. As the engine roared to life, I glanced back at the house one last time. In the shattered window of the nursery, two figures stood watching me, the woman in white and the small, dark shape of the child beside her. And even from that distance, I could feel their eyes on me. I could still hear the faint, tinkling melody of the music box carrying on the night air. I never went back. I deleted the footage. I tried to forget. But some nights, when the wind blows just right, I can still hear it. The weeping of a heartbroken mother, and the haunting melody of a music box that never truly stops playing. Some doors should never be opened. Some stories should be left untold. Blackwood Manor holds its secrets tightly, and I was lucky to escape with just the memory. I was one of the lucky ones. I just hope no one else is foolish enough to go looking for the truth. Thanks for watching. If you have a story you want to share, let me know in the comments. And if you want more explorations into the unknown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe out there.